I'd like to call the village board meeting to order. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Gus.
Here.
Trustee Jensen.
Here.
Trustee Miller.
Here.
Trustee Addison.
Here.
Trustee Siddick.
Here.
Trustee Wells. Attorney Frollo.
Here.
Mayor Hooker.
Here.
And Clerk McDonald is present.
All right. If you would rise and join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, first item up on our agenda is public comment on agenda items. If anyone would like to address the board on any of the agenda items, now is the time to speak. And as always, there will be a second opportunity for any and all comers for towards the end of the agenda. Does anyone wish to address the board about agenda items tonight? All right, if not, then we shall move on to the consent agenda, which includes the following items. Approval of the village board regular board meeting minutes from March 9th. Bills presented for payment in the amount of $89,109.97. Community development, public safety, and monthly finance reports for February of this year. Is there anything that the board would have us consider separately? Do we have a motion to approve?
Second.
Motion by trustee Gus, second by Miller. Discussion? Roll call, please.
Trustee Gus.
Aye.
Trustee Jensen.
Aye.
Trustee Miller.
Aye.
Trustee Addison.
Aye.
Trustee Siddick. Trustee Wells.
Aye.
All right, motion carries. And next up, mayor's report. I don't have anything particular to report tonight, so we'll move on to the trustee reports. First up, we've got Finance Committee, Trustee Jensen.
Thank you, Mayor. The Finance Committee met on the 21st and reviewed the budget, which our staff has done an excellent job as usual in preparing. And our next meeting will be on the 25th, after which the budget will be coming to the board. I'm not sure exactly what meeting, but in the very near future, you will have an opportunity to vote on the fiscal 23-24 budget. Okay. That's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Moving on to Parks and Rec, Trustee Gus.
Thank you, Your Honor. Just wanted to say our last Friday St. Patty's Day party was a success. Good music, good food. 102 people showed up, so super tune-up. And just want to remind everybody, April 8th for the kids, we have our Easter egg hunt. So come one and all.
Okay.
That is my report.
9 o'clock, don't be late.
Definitely. In and out.
In and out.
And the participant that finds the egg that matches your hair color wins the prize.
If you want to announce that, more than happy.
Very good. All right, next up, we got Planning, Building, and Zoning Committee, Trustee Wells.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have one item for your consideration. It's an ordinance approving a petition for Primax Properties LLC for map amendment and plan development conditional use permit at 39172 and 39120 North Green Bay Road, which is will be the Tractor Supply Company. This business is consistent with the priorities set by the village to continue pursuing development in commercial corridors. And in summary, the Planning and Zoning Board of Appeals at the March 3rd meeting of 2023, the public hearing was held regarding the petition of Primax Properties LLC regarding the map amendment and plan development conditional use permit to allow a tractor supply development on the property and for the existing resident to remain on the parcel to the south of the planned development. The commission discussed the petition and recommended approval with the conditions listed in the ordinance, and there are no objections to the development that will receive either from the public or during the meeting. And again, I'd like to entertain this in the form of a motion.
We have a motion by Trustee Well, it confused me. We had too many voices. Trustee Wells, and I heard, was that Gus? Okay, we'll go with that. It's like stereo here. You can't. Discussion. Do we have any, okay, petitioner? I'm not
Yes, we
sure.
have a representative from Space Coast Engineering Firm, Harold Fay. If you have any questions for him, I can briefly, describe something. We can call it up on the screen, Mayor, whatever you and the board would like to do.
What I observed from the recommendation from the Plan Commission that this development fits very nicely through almost all of our development regulations, which is not something that we see very often. There's a couple small departures, a setback on the north side adjoining the church property, a setback reduction, I should say, some landscape changes from the standard, but no significant reductions. And I think that was the highlights of the,
Parking and
parking
just
reduction.
also allowing that house to remain on that southern parcel.
and the clarification on the house. The property, the entirety, where the two houses currently sit will be rezoned to B1. The remaining house that is not as part of the development will be then allowed to remain as a residential use in the near term until a commercial developer comes to make changes to that site, at which time they will not have to have a map amendment. We'll just discontinue the non-conforming use at that time. So
And the property that's going to be rezoned is currently residential?
currently SR, yes.
Yes.
Yep.
I know Go B1 is business one.
Yep, that is our business district.
Is that in our TIF district or not?
It is. It's also in our business development.
Well, I saw that. I wasn't sure about the TIF.
Very nice. One of my favorite stores. I can't say how excited I am to see that happening.
Is it,
I already told yeah, I told our community development director to watch out because they sell chickens and bunnies. So chicken coops will probably be a new construction permit or something. So we'll anticipate some changes there.
I have a few questions, Mr. Mayor.
Sure.
The house that the residential property that's closest to the site, is that the one that they're looking at maintaining?
Yeah, so the house to the south is part of the parcel that they're buying, and it will be rezoned as B1 with a non-conforming house, a legal non-conforming house, or a permitted non-conforming use,
Okay.
conditional use,
Do we know what they're planning on using that house for at this point?
residential use. That's the understanding,
That's
correct?
correct.
Yeah.
There's no long-term plan established yet other than residential.
I was just wondering, I'm assuming that when they annexed that portion, or when they bought that portion of the property, that it was considered possibly for parking that would be required. If the parking is typically required, 206 spaces, and they're proposing 83.
No, they didn't consider the parking or utilizing that for additional parking. Based on their calculations and what they testified to in the hearing was the fact that they don't see that volume. And that's not typically what they see as far as their customer base and people that frequent Tractor Supply. The planning consultant, Natalia Demosova,
Natalia.
also had indicated during the hearing, and based on her review, our zoning code is pretty high. Let me clarify that. The requirement, the number of spaces that we require is pretty high. So it's typically not needed by most developments anyway, so.
Ours is 200 versus 300 by most.
Say again?
Ours is 200 square feet per space versus 300 for most other jurisdictions.
Yeah, the higher square foot
That's
number.
correct.
I'm just wondering if it might not be worth considering that property. If that tenant happens to, at some point in time, move on and that building is occupied by another tenant, there may be a need for some of that parking space in order for them to meet the needs for that particular district. I'm just wondering if it might not be worth us considering keeping that option available at some future point in time in the event that that tenant moves on.
It would be available regardless. They could always purchase the property and turn it into parking regardless of the fact that that house is there. it would still be B1, and if they join the lots, they could expand additional parking. So that doesn't really change.
I was just wondering if someone else purchased the property outside of that property owner. I'm just looking at it again. There may be a need for that parking at some point in time if that building changed tenants.
Well, and of course, if the building changes tenants, then they've got to go through, and meet the requirements for the day, the use. If they don't have a garden center, if they're not enlarging the building, they may well be able to put additional parking behind or on the side of the property, whereas now they've got the drive around for the garden center and all of that. They're really not utilizing a large area. Does the parking formula consider the gardens, outside the garden retail space?
The whole calculation was based on all the uses and everything on that property. That's
Yeah,
correct.
so if it was somebody just occupying the building, then the number would be smaller because the building square footage is lower than.
Correct. Then the greenhouses and everything else.
Yeah,
yes.
so I hesitate, my expectation is that they'll probably want to sell the parcel to the north, or to the south off for another commercial development. That would be my expectation, but we've not heard any intention other than to make it available if somebody was wanting it, but I'm comfortable with the report, or with the consultant's, Natalia's report on the current use, and then, of course, if that use changes. It's hard to anticipate
Yeah.
what the future might bring. I hope it's a Tractor Supply forever, but we all know the number of empty Kmarts in the world that anything's possible, so, okay.
I just have one quick question under Article 2.
Mm-hmm.
Under the purchase price, I've never seen anything come forward where everything was Xed out this way. I'm not sure, purchase prices are typically
Article 2 of the application,
correct. Are they ticketing?
the,
I mean, that should all be public knowledge on real estate to begin with. I just don't know why that was all Xed out.
oh, that is the Exhibit A. I got you. That's the sale agreement. I don't know that is public knowledge until, as far as what the terms of the sale were. We'll certainly know what the assessor lays it out as in the future, but I don't know. Maybe attorney can.
It doesn't weigh into your consideration of the ordinance. It doesn't impact whether or not it complies with the village code. I could say that it's not relevant to your determination. I think the mayor's correct, though. Eventually, you can find it out once the assessor picks up on the sale. But what needs to be provided to you is enough information to be sure that the project complies with the
I
village
just
code.
never seen this come
I
forward.
saw that too.
In
But it
past
does.
things for us, so I
Yeah,
just
yeah.
thought that was odd. Thank you.
We have a couple
Sure.
more questions. In the documents for the hearing, they indicated there was a mention of possible rental or repairs for that. And I just wanted to clarify that has been eliminated from the process.
The what? I'm sorry?
They mentioned possibly renting equipment and doing repairs.
Oh,
That was mentioned in some of the documentation. Is that still a part of the plan?
Mark, do you know if the equipment repair or rental is?
No, I don't
part
think
of
that
their
that's the
equation?
case.
They don't do.
Can you step up to the mic, please, so we can get on the record? Thank you, Harold.
Hello, everyone. I'm Harold Fay. I'm with Spaceco. We did the civil engineering on this. They do not rent any. They do some minor repairs if needed, but they do not rent any equipment.
Okay. So it'd be more assembly of what they sell, that type of
Correct.
thing?
Yeah, any like a tractor attachments, like a small plow or
Yeah.
things of that nature. Yeah.
Okay.
Do they service or maintain any of the equipment that they sell at the site?
No, they wouldn't go on site to have any repairs or anything like that.
I'm just, the 7 foot setback that we're looking for at the north, just checking with our building official. Would that affect our fire distance that's required between buildings, the 7 foot setback to the north? Do you know offhand?
I apologize, but I couldn't hear that
It's
question.
going to be a fire separation issue with this reduction of 7 feet in setback. But I mean, no, I believe that that's going to be a sprinkle building. And not only that, the setback is only a landscaping setback. What happens is it's the start of the property. It goes to the curb line. And then there's additional drive aisle, and the building is a few feet after that, so.
Yeah, there's actually a building setback. I was just checking to make sure that
Yeah.
wasn't gonna.
No, this is just a landscaping setback, trustee Wells, so.
The other question regarding the structure, residential structure, I didn't see an indication they were going to put any screening or buffer between the residential and commercial, but that's something that was considered.
Screening between the existing house and the new development.
Yeah.
Um, get up.
I believe that was included in our landscape plan.
Yeah, I was
So
thinking.
that there will be some plantings on our south line.
It sounded like more or less deciduous trees, but anything there for buffering light, noise, or sound.
No, it would just be, landscape material, plants, trees.
Yeah, it looks like primarily
This-
trees, yeah.
And
Yep.
That's something that we might at least want to consider. Generally, we require some type of separation between residential and commercial uses because of the more intense use.
Actually, the setback are the zoning landscape requirements, something I learned, are between residential residential zone and a
Right.
commercial zone.
Right.
Since they're both going to be commercial zone with the residential non-conforming use, it would, and I encountered this, that's why I'm familiar with it. It does change the way our ordinance reads, as opposed to if it was remaining SR.
Right.
So,
And I am aware of that. I
Yeah.
was just wondering if consideration to whoever the tenant is, it might not be considered as far as providing some type of screening or buffering because of the high impact that will be taking place on the commercial site versus the residential.
I don't know what's there now. I have to plead what gets cleared and what remains in that area there. I know there's some existing vegetation and trees and things in that vicinity.
Is that something maybe staff can maybe discuss with them?
I think it can be looked at. I don't know if it's something that we should be trying to rewrite right now, but
Yeah, it wasn't ever, I'd not identified it as issue, and it isn't B1, it was owned by the owner anyway. And,
right,
the intent of the overlay is to, transition to business at the same time, so.
right,
But,
So the Tractor Supply does own that house. They bought the
Yes.
property together.
yes.
So assuming they're gonna be leasing it or renting it to somebody, that's between them and their renters if there's not the traditional buffer, I would think.
It is a little different situation as they own both parcels. I don't know if there's any.
I do appreciate a fence line and bushes buffer between residential and commercial.
I think
As
they
well
would
you
too.
would.
So I can see your point, but them being the owner of both parcels, I don't know. And like John said, it's gonna be the same as own. It's not
Right.
residential.
I was looking at the different distinction in uses versus zoning.
Yeah.
Right.
With the code not requiring it, I'd be hesitant to try to put it into this ordinance. And I think it's really going to be something between the landlord and the renter. Maybe to make it more attractive to rent, they'll have to do that anyway. Sort of a market-driven issue. But again, we don't have the code provisions requiring it. So I think I'd hesitate to amend this ordinance on the fly.
Yeah, I was just wondering if something that might be considered by the party.
Yeah, it certainly can be discussed and by staff and see if there's something more that they want to do. It's
And that property closed already because
Yeah.
they've already purchased it
Yep.
for whatever purchase price.
Yep.
on this one.
XXXX.
Yep.
One other question, I know during the hearing, we were discussing possibly the two means of egress or ingress. I believe that the engineer indicated that they were only going to allow the one to the north. Is that correct?
That's
So
correct.
the plans still show two?
Yeah, we've sent an updated site plan to the village for their review, but ultimately we are going through IDOT and they have final decision on where our entrance can be and how many we get. And they've already requested that only one will be allowed.
Mm-hmm.
We kind of went with the approach to ask for as much as we could and then
Yeah, of course.
back off when they and they tell we can't have it, so.
Well, you could always have people enter onto that residential driveway and then cut it.
Right.
Because there's already a road cut there.
Right.
Yeah. That might not help them with the rental.
Yeah, that's not a surprise that IDOT would limit that.
No.
That's all I had as far as questioning.
All right, any other concerns, questions, discussion? Okay. Well, then I guess it's time to call the roll.
Trustee Jensen.
Aye.
Trustee Miller.
Aye.
Trustee Addison.
Aye.
Trustee Siddick.
Enthusiastically, aye.
Trustee Wells.
Aye.
And Trustee Gus.
Aye.
Motion carries.
And that concludes my report, Your Honor.
That's it.
That concludes my
Oh,
report.
thank you. All right, then moving on to public relations, Trustee Miller.
Yeah, thank you, Your Honor. Just wanted to express a little appreciation to our staff for the really nice job they did hosting that party on Friday at the resort. I know that had to be a lot of work, and Donna was scurrying around, and Patrick was there too, and
Yep.
a lot of preparation, not really knowing what would happen after a couple years of
Yep.
doing nothing, basically, on St. Patrick's Day. But the word really got out well, and 3 years. Okay,
Yep.
so it was great. It was a great
Very
turnout,
well.
great party.
Well, I
Thank you
think
to
the key
staff.
was having a guy named Patrick in charge, and
Oh,
yeah,
Yeah.
He was something else.
Too bad he's not here. Yeah.
yeah. He'll watch the video and then
Oh,
he
yes.
can feel good. Virtual pat on the back.
That's all I have.
Okay. Next up, we've got public safety. Trustee Siddick.
Thank you, Your Honor. I was a little concerned. I just wanted to bring up concerns about the social pub on Sheridan Road and the recent activities that had taken place there. And I'm not sure, I don't know if the sheriff's department, but I would also like to recognize that the therapist in our audience this evening. And thank you for coming, but I was hoping to get an update on the young man. I don't know if there is an update.
I don't have any.
Okay, obviously my heart goes out to the family of the victims, but the last I knew that the young man was very critical and what happened over there, and I just didn't know if there was anything further.
I would say that we are investigating from staff level as to ascertain whether or not the young teenage driver that caused the injuries in that was inside the establishment drinking, or whether she was just turning around in the parking lot, or what was going on. Obviously, it's a bad situation all the way around, but yeah.
Yeah, 1:30 in the morning and a bunch of minors.
Yep.
You know, that obviously doesn't sit well with me or anybody.
Yep.
But I just hope that the victim is okay. And just one of those things you don't like to talk about, but
Yep.
here it is. And I'm very upset to learn about this, and I hope it doesn't happen again.
Well, based on the last week or two, I guess probably, I would say it was not a good time to be having any kind of a domestic dispute with your spouse in your car or near your car. I mean, Winthrop Harbor, this situation with the whatever it was, the 29th Street with the attempted whatever it was into a tree.
Remember,
Yeah, I mean, people are just crazy. So.
Is there ever a good time to do that?
Well, I mean, I never considered it an option,
Carrie.
and I don't think I want to go there. So, wow.
I just hope that whoever's involved with this gets what they deserve.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm not about defunding the police or anything like that. You know, we pay a good portion of our money to have the sheriff's department here, and I hope everyone is doing what they need to do to keep our residents safe.
And as unfortunate as that situation was, I would say the sheriff's deputy was very strategically located while it was
Yes.
happening and was able to actually basically witness the car coming out of the parking lot. And that's why the offender was caught, because,
Yeah.
And possibly save the life of the victim, too.
right.
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 And the decision to stay with the victim rather than continuing the chase, I thought that was a great move. So.
Okay.
Okay, that's all I have. Thank you very much.
You bet. Next up, trustee Otterson, Public Works.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I don't have anything on the agenda for Public Works tonight, but I can tell you that our director has promised me that the snow season is over.
Well,
We will
That's
not,
it, we're getting a foot tomorrow.
we will not be utilizing any additional salt this year. So thank you for all your efforts and whatever connections you have that ensure that. Thank you. That was all. Yeah, yeah.
All right. Have no report on behalf of the TIF committee as we have not met. Moving into staff reports, looks like we've got one item.
Mayor, the item pertains to ordinance revoking a conditional use permit for the property at 39221 North Green Bay Road related to a storage yard. And the owner had, if you recall, they were given a conditional use permit over a year ago for that property and Tony's Landscaping to conduct some retail sales, redo the lot, add a garage, some bins, and other things related to his business and landscaping. Over the course of the year, the property owner decided to no longer pursue that, the planned improvements that were approved and identified as conditions in the conditional use permit. So we notified the property owner that the conditional use permit was going to be revoked because they didn't meet the conditions and essentially the time had expired for the conditional use permit. And staff met with the gentleman, and just to clarify the questions, he did not request to appeal the decision. So this ordinance would just approve revoking that other ordinance for the conditional use permit. I will also note that the gentleman, property owner, has applied for another conditional use and maybe a text amendment on the property. We're trying to work through those issues now with the property owner. So.
Okay. So we need a motion to approve for the ordinance revoking the conditional use at 39221 North Green Bay Road.
So moved.
We have a motion by trustee Anderson, second by trustee Gus. Discussion?
So what happens if the conditional use is revoked? What is the property owner required to
It
do?
has been revoked already. We're just rescinding the ordinance that
That allowed it?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's no longer permitted the use of, storage and selling and whatever else he was doing on this, or planning to do on the site. Lacking the improvements that were part of the conditional use, the building, the, parking area, all of that, taking no action at all just is what caused the revocation. So I think he'll have a little harder time convincing Plan Commission and Village Board that his intentions are going to be met the next time. It sounds like he's wanting to start all over again. So
But will there be any way of enforcing this?
sure,
Okay.
sure, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. My only question.
Okay. Any other discussion? Would the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Miller.
Aye.
Trustee Addison.
Aye.
Trustee Siddick.
Aye.
Trustee Wells.
Aye.
Trustee Gus.
Aye.
Trustee Jensen.
Aye.
Motion carries. We have no old business on the agenda tonight. We do have one item of new business, which is approval of HMG's engineering bills totaling $13,073.66. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second by trustee Miller, second by trustee Gus. Discussion? Roll call, please.
Trustee Addison.
Abstain.
Trustee Siddick.
Aye.
Trustee Wells.
Aye.
Trustee Gus.
Aye.
Trustee Jensen.
Aye.
Trustee Miller.
Aye.
Motion carries. Now it's time for any citizen wishing to address the board, and I would include the sheriff if you desire to address the board for anything, by all means, feel free.
I want to say good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here, and I want to thank you for your comments about my department. I believe you do a great job serving this great community, and hopefully we can continue to serve this great community. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you for
Thank
coming.
you.
For coming.
Thank you.
All right. Any other citizens wish to address the board? Come up to the microphone and give us your name and speak your piece.
My name is Josh Hecker, not to be confused with Hucker, and I would like the trustee Otterson to look outside. It is now snowing. Thank you.
Hey, I didn't promise it was Pat.
You're the one that said it out loud, though.
Yeah, okay, I did.
I live at 38580 North Bayonne Avenue in Wadsworth, Illinois. So to reference that, for those of you that don't remember me, I was here probably about a year ago. I live just north of the intersection of Beach Road and Bayonne Avenue. So essentially right at the intersection of where the entrance is to the Waukegan Sports Complex. I'm here in front of you today because Alan Hutchison has been coming forth for several months talking about a proposed driving range that the sports complex is looking to build on their property on the far east end of that property. I don't want it misconstrued that he's the only one in the neighborhood that has these problems. I wholeheartedly back and support what he's been telling you, what he's been doing, the efforts that he's been putting forth to try to minimize or reduce the potential for this coming. And I think I've told the mayor recently that we're not against the build itself. In fact, I'm a golfer. I wouldn't like anything more or enjoy anything more than just being able to walk down the street with my clubs and go to the driving range. However, the things that we put up with the increased traffic as a result of that sports complex coming down Beach Road, and now they're proposing 350 more parking spots with 2 points of ingress and egress on Beach Road, is only going to amplify the problems. We met with the Parks District yesterday. They made a proposal to the neighborhood residents that was laughable, and we told them that the only way to mitigate this is to build their own roadway. We were here in front of all of you before the sports complex opened. I appreciate the board's willingness to help us out currently in understanding the things that we've been dealing with as a neighborhood as a whole since the opening of the sports complex. Yeah. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Don't be shy.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Alan Hutchison, for those that don't know. Thank you. That was excellent. I kind of just want to poke in. I know that last time I was here, I talked about some of the specifics of what was going on with that facility, that proposed facility over there. And everything that Josh says is correct. A couple of things that I want to kind of focus in on, though, are everybody keeps talking about this like it's a golfing facility. And it's kind of a stretch. So the conceptual drawing that they showed during the Waukegan zoning meeting showed 16 golfing stalls and more than 50 four-top tables and a two-story bar. So they even referred to it in that meeting themselves as a banquet hall. So don't get lulled into the fact that this is a golf course or solely a golf driving range. I also asked the question why there were several hundred parking spaces associated with it as opposed to just enough for a 16 bay driving range. But at any rate, for those of you that don't know, myself and several of the other neighbors did attend the Waukegan zoning meeting, which was on March 9th. And the Waukegan zoning board, they were presented with a couple of requests to essentially change the zoning and then a conditional use permit to have that facility. And although they did accept and put forward the ones to change the zoning into a conservancy, they did choose to table the one for the conditional use permit, which was, I believe, largely based on the letter that Beach Park sent. And so I'm very grateful that happened. I was grateful to be able to be there and watch that kind of unfold the way that it should. So thank you. That's everything to us. As we start to ramp back up into the summer, there's a couple of things that I kind of want to just frame out. What we're talking about in terms of this new facility is just that it's a new facility. It would be an add on to the issues that we already have over there right now. And what's going on over there right now without anything additional is unacceptable. I know I dropped some pictures off here, about 50 of them that are from the last 10 years. And I just hope everybody gets a chance to look at those. But they outline basically every problem you can imagine, from parking and traffic congestion to alcohol issues and everything across the board. So with that,
debris.
Yeah,
Going
it's
out on the streets on their way out. And
it's nearly, I don't want to say unlivable, but it's to the point where it's not the
It's
beach
good.
park that I signed up to live in. And every time I go past our sign and I see it says the Village of Rural Living, I think to myself, I wonder if this is how it is. I'm really excited. I'm equally as excited, right? So I guess my statement tonight is going to be two parts. The first part is thank you for having our back. Thank you for writing the letters that we wrote and having the opinion that you have to put the residents before the want of the park district, which is an outside entity. They have come at us every way that they can consider, us collectively, the residents and the board, trying to get the access to this facility because they think they need it, all the way down to just trying to take it. That's the truth. So that's number one. Please continue to help support us and make sure that that doesn't happen, because it will change the lives of the residents over there to the point of, I don't know if it will be livable anymore. And number two, and this is another goal of mine this year, is I want to get together, not necessarily in this setting, but in a setting that we can discuss what the fix is for the road, because what is going on over there right now is still unacceptable. And we are in a position now where a lot of eyeballs are on the park district, and a lot of people are questioning why they're getting away with what they're getting away with. We even have garnered the support of our county board representative, Diane Hewitt, who remembers being in the meetings with the then executive director of the park district, Greg Petrie, who made promises that this would be a temporary road and that the park would be offered eventually. So she's a firsthand witness, and she's a county board member.
Yeah.
So that's excellent. So I want to try and figure out what we can do to get back to that goal. And if the park district won't do it because they have the integrity to fulfill the promises that they've made in the past, then what can we do to help them understand?
Right.
So I look forward to trying to set that meeting up, and we'll go from there. So again, I very much appreciate the time letting me speak. And if you guys ever have any questions for me or would like to know anything about what's going on at the facility, feel free to give me a call.
Well, I just want to thank you, Alan, for all the work you're doing, and your neighbor as well. A lot of what happened was unforeseeable with Waukegan. We were disappointed, to say the least.
Yeah.
Better outcome is on the future.
It's really interesting. During that meeting yesterday, I was in a room with most of the executive board of the park, the financial head, and the executive director, and their architect. And their architect looked at their executive director and said, honestly, when we started this, I had no idea that road wasn't Waukegan. They had no idea. They never even presented it to him. So
Can we dead end that road?
Hmm?
Can we put a dead end?
Well, they
You can
can,
remove it if these guys are willing to go off-road to get in and out of their house.
So it's interesting you say that. There's 9 beach park residences that are on Beach Road as well as on Bayonne, and then
Yep.
there's about, how many, 4 or 5? 3 plus you. There's probably 4 or 5. Same.
Yeah.
Of the beach park residences, of the 9, 6 of us have gotten together and talked about what would be an acceptable solution. 2 of the houses are vacant, and one of them is somebody that I haven't been able to get a hold of yet. But I would feel comfortable saying the majority of people are open to solutions, whether that be dead end or whatever. So
well,
let's
and
talk
as I shared with you, and I think I speak for the entire board here, going back to when this was presented and the temporary access through Beach Road was used, to see what it became and to realize the stubbornness of the park district on that issue, the unwillingness to control the traffic, the unwillingness to schedule the events so the traffic wouldn't start and stop all at the same time, whatever they could do to make it better on the neighborhood, despite our pleas, your pleas, despite requests for Waukegan police to monitor traffic, etc. So the fact that they want to make this significant development now opens the door back to all the conversations. And the position the village has taken with the park district as a starting point is access your property through your property.
Sure.
And that's the starting point. They've got lots of reasons why they don't want to do that, but at the end of the day, if they don't care, why should we?
Right. There,
And
there's nothing that the residents, the Beach Park residents, have to gain from anything that they've got going on there, only to lose.
right,
I will reiterate what Josh said about the facility. I'm not claiming to have the right to tell the park district what they can or cannot do on their facility over there. And all
Right.
I've ever asked is that they make good on the entrance and exit issue so that we can get our road back, get our neighborhood back, so we can walk on the street when our kids can ride our bikes again.
Yep.
And that they adhere to the light and sound and variance, or the ordinances for what Waukegan and Lake County has prescribed.
Mhm.
If they can do all that, then, I mean,
Yep.
build it, you know?
The
So-
traffic up and down there is horrific.
It's the worst I've ever seen, so.
You know, they were leaving the lights, they had promised back in the day to make sure all those lights were shut down at a
Yep.
certain time, and
You know, it's,
those lights were still left on 10, 11 o'clock at night,
Yeah.
which means people are still driving there and coming out.
it's because they were still
You know,
playing
nobody
games
got
there.
rid
at
of
they're
11
still
o'clock.
playing games at
Yeah.
10-11. Yep.
I will say that was another interesting fact that came up yesterday. We started to express some of these concerns. They say, well, if you have all these problems, why don't you just call us and say so?
Oh, boy.
Yeah, everyone.
That's-
The audacity.
That was a little tone deaf.
A little. A little. So
Oh, boy.
anyway, I appreciate the time.
Thank you.
Like I say, if there's any questions, please,
Yep.
please reach out. I'm happy to help.
Thanks for keeping us informed.
Appreciate it. All right.
Well, I'm Ron Tavers from Beach Park. I won't miss any meetings. I'll be going to all your meetings, and I have been. I'm here again about the commercial parking, and I am wholly, entirely hope the commercial Tractor Supply comes there. Which also brings, does that mean we can park commercial vehicles in our driveways? Can we park our tractors in our driveways now? I mean, we have a commercial supply coming in, but we're not allowed to have them in our own yard.
Yeah, yeah.
So, I mean,
Yeah.
so that's it.
Okay.
Different zoning.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And just an update, staff is among many other things, is compiling details and data from surrounding communities, trying to get a baseline of understanding for what's going on right now in our corner of the county. And we'll use that as well as our local conditions to weigh in on this. So appreciate your attendance, as always. Anyone else wish to address the board tonight?
I would.
What do you got?
I was just curious with respect to the park district, and their zoning. Were we represented there? Did anyone from the village represent?
So at the zoning hearing was the same night as our board meeting.
Rats.
But I did have worked with staff to pen a 3-page letter addressing a myriad of zoning issues, specific zoning
That's a
issues.
lot.
Noise, light, traffic. The traffic study that was being used in the application was a traffic study from February, which is a great time to measure traffic if you want to add to it, but completely unrealistic. I think an August afternoon or evening would probably be telling. Yeah, so that in reference to what Alan was saying, I think as well as the neighborhood attendance and concern, caused the plan commission to take a step back and in their consideration. I think if there hadn't been anything going on, it would have been there's no noise, it's all
Nobody
good.
complains, yeah.
Yep. So we're on record, and staff has had several meetings with the park
Right,
district.
I was aware of that.
So more to come.
Well, and to the folks from that neighborhood, yeah, we're all on board with the issue. We know what's going on, and staff can keep us surprised. At our recent session, our planning session, that was a topic that came up, and we talked about speed bumps, even on the summertime speed bumps, so they don't have to plow them in the winter. Something, anything to.
And a toll booth, I believe.
A toll booth would be good.
Ooh.
Same price as the beach parking in
I
Waukegan,
just
like
think it's
$8
cheaper to
a
put up a dead end sign. One way.
That's all I meant.
Thank you.
Just a comment on that if I can.
Yeah.
So I will say that when we went down there, the letter that you wrote, I know you got to ask the board to read it, and I don't know that it's an intention to read it, or referenced it. But
Yeah.
read it. And when I came up to speak, I asked them if they would go ahead and read the letter, and they had a copy. So it did get read. I read it.
Thank you.
But you should definitely.
Very good.
You should definitely make sure that if you send something over, you request that it be granted in the meeting.
Yeah.
verbatim.
Wow.
Perfect.
Because they
Thank you.
try and really
Because you
Yep.
may not always be available to be there and do it for us.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that. I wasn't aware of that, so I appreciate that. All right, we have no cause tonight for an executive session.
In which case, Mayor, I'd like to offer a motion to adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you.
That's a difficult situation. You're not the body.
Well, the only answer in this whole situation